Well, it was a lot more fun on the trip back, I can promise you. It's a neat thing to travel back with your team and for the first time in a long time, um, to have laughter on the bus. You know, there's nothing like young kids' laughter and excitement, and that's something you felt on the bus coming back. Our team finally felt um, the fruits of their labor, and that's hard. And so that was exciting. We finally capitalized on some momentum, not early in the game, but there was a moment there to start the second half where we got a stop and scored, a turnover and scored, and another turnover and scored, and a stop and a score, and it just felt there were times we were possibly at that moment. Previously, we just weren't able to get a touchdown or miss a field goal, and a lot of times it happened early in games, and that stopped the momentum, and momentum's a real powerful thing. And as we got that, I felt like our players were playing a very high level. And when you're beat up and you're playing youth, you need your guys playing at such a high level to give yourself a chance. And I thought that's where we were at that moment, and that gave us a chance to win, obviously.
You said all season that you go into every game expecting to win, but at one point in Saturday, did it set in that, yes, we're going to win this game?
When we got the onside kick, when they were offsides, because they'd gotten the onside kick. So they would have had the ball down 3 scores, but still, whatever amount of time, 9 or 10 minutes left, you're sitting there going, you get the onside kick, they go score, now it's like they're gonna go back out there and kick it again, and you're just sitting there going, because of where we're at, there's a certain point we're gonna get to where that doesn't phase you. So what if they get the onside kick? We're gonna stop them, someone's gonna make a play, we're gonna figure out a way. But when you're struggling, it's human nature to feel like, oh, here we go again, right? Whether or not you want to believe it or not. So it was after that moment that we got the onside kick. Felt like even if we ran 3 running plays and punted, that it would be difficult unless we turned it over to not win the game.
How quick does your voicemail box fill up?
Voicemail, text messages, people have been probably waiting all year to text you and say congratulations, and there's a point there where you say, man, I better start calling people. I'm not sure that they're going to get in touch with me. And but I'm joking, obviously. But it's great for our kids. Beyond obviously people that are happy for you. I'm talking about me, but obviously for our players and the work they put in, and for our fans. Really, that's super important. We've had tremendous support here. That's why I came here to coach. We came back Saturday night to an unbelievable crowd of people that want to show their support, are excited for them to have that winning feeling again. That's big, and you could feel it.
Shortly after the game, the outside world was kind of let into the locker room a little bit. There was some footage that was put out that kind of gave everybody a fly on the wall view, perspective of what was going on after the game in that locker room. I mean, it seemed like it just was a really powerful, some really powerful stuff going on in there.
Well, it's been a tough 3-4 months. I mean, forget the off season. Of all the things that it's tough. You sit there and talk about all the things that it takes to be successful and to win, and you do these things, you're gonna reap this benefit, this reward. And when that doesn't happen, boy, that's hard. Because I think a lot of our guys did all the things we asked them to do. And yet, we didn't taste victory for a number of reasons, starting with me as the head coach. So, to have it come to that moment, I sure as heck was prepared way before then for a post-game speech for a win, I promise you. But there was a lot of things that go through your mind. People thought I was mad when I got dumped the Gatorade or the water on me. I wasn't mad, I was just reflecting how hard it's been and where we've come, and how much better I am as a coach, and I'm happy for our players. And it's why you do it. You do it for your players, the kids, and for them to have the best experience they can have. And so I was just so happy for them. There's nothing like it. You try to tell your team there's nothing like singing the fight song in the locker room when you win. And there isn't. Anybody that was in there understands that. And so for those guys to be able to do that and feel that way, and feel for just that moment in time, the reward for all the hard work and for our seniors to go out that way.
You've been talking all year about singing that fight song. Did you sing?
I sang. I was so dang excited. I don't even know if I know half the words to it. I'm not even sure. I was so excited. There was a time I knew it. There was a time we would sing it and try to remind ourselves. I don't know. I could have just cheered the whole time. I was so happy for the guys and all the work they put in and for our fans. And that's really it. The people that put in the work, our coaches, and then the fans that support us and have been loyal Golden Eagle fans for a long, long time.
The guys did know it though, huh?
What's that?
The guys didn't know the fight song?
The guys that knew it were the loudest, let's put it that way. So it sounded good to me. I don't know.
Coach, how important is it, not just from a team building aspect, but from the recruiting standpoint, how important is it to end with a win?
I'm not sure from a recruiting standpoint, it tips the scale so much, but it certainly does in terms of our juice, our players' juice, our fans' juice, our coaches' juice. I think that energizes you of what it can look like. We've talked about what we want it to look like. Do I think that recruits want to know where you're headed? Of course. They only can talk so long. That we're going to build off last year, and then you're going to have this year, and then we struggle. That's hard. Do I think it helps? Yes. Dramatically, no.
Coach, on Saturday night, you were talking about being a huge difference between 1-11 and 0-12, and now that it's, I guess, had a couple days to settle in, how relieved do the players seem just that they did get that last win and can go out on a high note, especially for the seniors?
Hard to say. I've only seen some of them as I'm going through some of the exit interviews for the season. Relief, I'm sure, is part of it. Excitement is part of it. Everybody wants to be a part of something special. And it starts with winning one. And so that part of it, just like I said, the feeling of accomplishment as a group of young men and coaches, fans that all came out there. We had a great contingency of fans that came to the game, along with our band, which was awesome. And so, I don't know if it's more relief. Do I think that it alleviates some of the talk in the off season about a streak? Sure, it does. Of course, that's true. Does it put you in a position? Is 1-11 better than 0-12? You bet it, especially when it's the last one. Somewhere early on, maybe not so much, but the last one, you bet. Even when you go to bowl games, it's always better when you win that bowl game, because the last taste in your mouth is victory and the work you put in.
Every Sunday this year, you've woken up after a loss. What was it like waking up Sunday after a win?
It's fantastic. I mean, there's nothing like it. It's everything you do. You put your name on it. I mean, it's you put your name on it for everybody else to see. And I love what I do. I wouldn't want to change it for the world. I got to find a way to do it better than they do it, and our program does. But it is hard when you have very few hobbies, man. You internalize it. You think about how you can do it better, how you can do it for the players, how your program can move forward. It's hard. But you learn that ultimately I'm responsible for it. I'm responsible for our coaches, our players, and where this program goes. So if I'm not positive, if I'm not motivated, and I look at it any other way, then I'm wrong, because this is a special place. I have said it, and I really mean it. I took the job here under tough circumstances. I understood that. I understand where we've got to go, and I'm motivated more than ever. I'm a better coach than I was 11 months ago, and I promise you we will have a really good recruiting class, and we will move forward in a positive manner.
I know recruiting is probably priority number one, starting probably yesterday or whatever, but what are some of the other pressing matters that you
Well, there's two pressing matters. It's recruiting, and then it's your team. Let's end the year and talk through with our players while it's fresh on their minds, okay, how we can do it better, from equipment to training to the weight room to their position coaches to myself to training table. How can we do it better? How can we do it better? Have them assess themselves how they can do it better. My assessment of them. How can we assess our program and move forward? So I can communicate with the other people that touch our players' lives. That's the most important thing, is gathering information to how we can make it better. That's all it is That's the greatest thing we can have in anything we do in life, is to assess where we're at, get that information. And then what we do with it's up to us. But ultimately, we want to be able to be critiqued. I want to be critiqued. I want to be the best there is. I want to be the best head coach in the country. I want to be critiqued. What can I do better? I need people to do that. Then I decide that. But the information is good. So it's gathering the information of how we can be better, how we can do it better, and then we got to recruit our butts off. We've got to, it's recruit, develop, and coach better. And it starts with who you bring in the program and what do you want it to look like.
Watching you Saturday, because I've tried to make a habit to at least glance your direction at several points during each game this year, and it seemed like you were just way more. I mean, even from the very beginning, just way more intense, way more animated and stuff like that. I mean, is that accurate or?
It's accurate.
And why?
Well, early on, I was more dialed in with what we were doing offensively. And Marcus was running the offense after game one, and I had to do that. I couldn't continue to be the head coach and recruit and try to team build and try to motivate. I was too tied into that. My emotional day-to-day was tied to how well we were doing it offensively. It always will be. I'm an offensive guy, but too much. I couldn't speak objectively to how the practice went when everything was geared towards that. I didn't realize that until I became the head coach. So as that moved on, and I was less tied into, even as Marcus was making the calls, to critiquing the calls like every head coach does, and to where it's like, you know what, where this team needs me? It needs me to be offense and defense and special teams and energetic and seeing the game and being able to make challenges. And when we take timeouts and really address those things, that's really where it became that. And I started to realize, if I don't bring the energy, I don't care what anybody else thinks. I don't care if the other head coach or the other coaches think I'm just the biggest buffoon, jumping and yelling and having fun and chest bumping. I don't care, because I want our guys to feel like I'm with them and that my energy is going to be put towards them, and they're excited. They're kids. They want to feel excited. They want to feel positive that their head coach is for them, and I will always be that way.
Coach, you talked all year about having to play freshmen and getting a lot of experience for them. Looking back now on the year, are you happy that they got that playing time, and are you happy with their progression through the year?
Well, it's hard to go through all of them. There's 14 of them, but obviously some was out of necessity, some was out of they were ready. Not many of them were really ready, but out of necessity we had to play a number of them. And probably early on, if you look back at it, there was a number of the older players that I think came on later, as I think they realized that you just can't walk through this thing. That if you really want to be a factor in what we do, especially a receiver, then you got to compete every day. And I thought there was a moment in the middle of the season where some of our freshmen it wore on them. It did. And then I thought at the back end of it, I thought some of the guys, Dylan Bradley, Marquise Ricard, T-Man, Cox, Nick Mullins, Cam, Tom, then we kind of came back and we had a little bit more of an upswing. And I anticipate that continuing.
Do you guys do anything like any sort of postseason award?
We're having that on Sunday. We're going to call it a senior send-off. They haven't done it in 10 years. For some reason, or 15 years, haven't done it, haven't had a closure to it, awards. We did something special this year for our seniors. So we're going to do that next Sunday from 2 to 4.
Coach, as a year in review type question, I mean, is there any one big takeaway you have from your first year in Hattiesburg in general?
I've said this many times. There's a couple of things. One is I'm a better coach after 11 months of being positive, how to figure out a way. If you're not careful, you complain about everything. I don't care what it is. You can go and you can look at schools, right? I talk to different coaches around the country, and heck, they've got 7, 8, 9 wins, and they're down, they're bummed, they feel the fan base and disappointment. And I'm like, well, what do we have anything to be sad about? For God's sakes, we coach football for a living, and they pay us an unbelievable amount of money to coach young people and try to mentor them. That I learned how to be as positive as you can be. It is very difficult to stay positive when things don't go your way. That is not human nature. Human nature is to complain, and I don't have this, and I wish I had that, and that is not the message we ever want to send our team. And I realized, even though we weren't winning, this is a special place. This is a special place. It has won for a reason, great fan base, an unbelievable school, a great place to go to school, and it's gonna continue to be a special place. We're closer than people think, and I'm excited about our future.
Anything else for Coach?
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach,
Coach, one more.
one more, just, you know, or any, of course now it's off season, we've already heard some other conferences, that some staff changes have been made. Have you made any or expect any, and in particular about where's your offensive line coach?
I thought what I just said was a great ending, man. I thought it was like right out, like, man, okay, end of the year, fired up, let's go. Then you had to go back on the staffing. We're not at that point yet. I mean, this is a great place. We're gonna have plenty of coaches that wanna come here and coach. You know, so that won't be the issue. It's gonna be the right fit. It's gotta be someone that will connect with our players and that really takes on an unbelievable opportunity of a lot of young players, guys that need to be coached, need to be mentored, and need to come a long way for us to be the program that I know we can be.